All right, guys, today we have more PlayStation news and information to go over and talk about. We have a few different topics we're going to be covering in this video. So before we dive into it, if you could do me a big favor and hit the like button to help this video out and show it your support, I would really appreciate that. And make sure you hit that subscribe button as well if you are new here to the channel. We're starting here, though, with this very out of nowhere rumor that popped up late last night in regards to Square Enix apparently about to be acquired by another gaming company. We don't know which gaming company was apparently set to acquire them or which gaming companies were bidding to try to acquire Square Enix. We do know now that apparently it's not happening because Square Enix did come out and officially acknowledge this and officially shut down the rumor, which I am grateful for because I can only imagine what it would have been like over the next couple of weeks if they didn't say anything. Speculation would have run rampant, and you can already tell just within that short window of time where Square Enix didn't say anything, people were losing their minds. There was a lot of people thinking that maybe Sony is the one that's going to acquire Square Enix, which would make a lot of sense. You look at how closely they work together, how good of a relationship they have, and honestly, I don't think it's necessary. I do not think an acquisition is necessary. I think that Sony should just focus on continuing to grow that healthy relationship and partnership that they have with a publisher like Square Enix. But it definitely would have made sense that if there was any company that would have acquired them, I think Sony would have definitely made the most sense. And obviously, people were thinking that maybe it was Microsoft that was going to try to acquire Square Enix. That would have been unfortunate in my opinion because they already got Bethesda. Would have looked a little bit extreme if they ended up getting both Bethesda and Square Enix in rapid succession like that. Definitely a concerning thing to be happening. Interestingly enough, the general response I saw across the internet was that people didn't want to see this happen at all. They want to see Square Enix as well as other major third-party publishers remain where they are and not be bought up by another gaming company. And I have to overall agree with that. Obviously, PlayStation fans would like to see Sony have their own Bethesda-like moment, but I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think that's actually necessary. And so this is exactly what Square Enix said to kind of shut this rumor down. It says, today's media coverage. Bloomberg has reported today that there is interest from several buyers to acquire Square Enix. However, this report is not based on any announcements by Square Enix. We do not consider selling off the company or any part of its businesses, nor have we received any offer from any third party to acquire the company or any part of its businesses. So they shut it down entirely here. They're saying that they haven't even, been approached, that they didn't receive any offers. So it makes you wonder where Bloomberg was hearing this from. Maybe there is still some truth to this. Maybe Square Enix is, I don't want to say lying here, but we don't know, right? I mean, it is what it is. I'm going to take their word for it. They're shutting it down completely. Square Enix seems to be completely safe and nothing's going to be happening. So the next question that I think a lot of you are going to have is, well, could Sony afford Square Enix? Would Sony even try to acquire Square Enix even if they were looking to sell off, their business to another gaming company? I think the answer is yes and no. I think the answer as to whether or not Sony could afford it is yes, they could. Would Sony make a purchase like that? Probably not. It just doesn't seem like a Sony thing to do. It would definitely go against, the way Sony has been operating the past couple of years, in my opinion anyway. So whether or not Sony's going to make a big acquisition of their own remains to be seen. We're going to have to wait and see. I personally think they absolutely need to buy Blue Point Games. Don't know what they're waiting for, but they might not. Sony might not make any acquisitions, and I think that would be okay too, but I'm interested. I'm interested in kind of following all this and seeing who gets bought up next. But we're going to move on from that and talk about how the PlayStation 5 is now the fastest selling console in US history in units sold and dollar sales. Okay, so this is a big deal here. This is a huge feat for the PlayStation 5, and I know that there's a lot of people who do not care about sales. I know that there's a lot of people who are upset because they still can't buy a PS5. Just be patient. You will be able to buy a PS5 eventually. But at the very least, that there is great demand for the PS5, and it's not slowing down at all. It says here this month's NPD results are now out, and it has revealed that the PS5 has become the fastest selling console in the US, both in dollar sales and units sold. Announced by Matt Piscatella on Twitter from the NPD group, he confirmed that the console has now become the best-selling console in history. This means that with just 5 months on the market, the PS5 is already selling faster than the PS4 5 months in, and this is happening while there are still supply constraints and demand for consoles is far higher than supply. So while this generation doesn't have a clear winner yet, Sony is definitely coming out strong initially and has a lot of momentum going into the second and third year of the console's life cycle, with the brand being as strong as ever. We also have to talk a little bit about just how well Spider-Man Miles Morales is selling. It goes on to say, with today's NPD numbers for March coming out, it has been revealed that Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales has outsold both Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us Part 2 after only being on the market for 5 months. Miles Morales was the 5th best-selling game of the last 12 months, with The Last of Us Part 2 coming in 7th and Ghost of Tsushima coming in 8th. This is a pretty incredible achievement and shows just how strong the Spider-Man brand is for Sony. When we eventually get the next Spider-Man game, we are expecting it to be one of the biggest games of the PlayStation 5 generation. So, yeah, this is kind of crazy, guys. I gotta tell you, first of all, it's crazy to me that Ghost of Tsushima is right behind The Last of Us Part 2. So The Last of Us Part 2 did sell more than Ghost, but considering Ghost is a new IP, that's pretty impressive, right? That it's right there, basically sitting right next to The Last of Us Part 2. And obviously, they're both extremely successful games for Sony. But look at just how successful Spider-Man Miles Morales has been for Sony in the past 12 months. It's only been on the market for 5 months, and it's at the number 5 spot. So it's going to be very interesting to see just how well Spider-Man 2 ends up selling on the PS5. Again, I know not everybody cares about sales. I find the data to be very interesting, and I also find it to be very telling. You know, a lot of people are trying to tell me that, you know, it is still glorified DLC. It's just glorified DLC that's selling really well, right? And I understand that. I understand that there are going to be people who view this as just a type of overpriced, overglorified DLC. And that's fine. You know, there are just going to be some people who see it that way. But as somebody who played this game, as somebody who platinumed this game, I did everything there was to do in the game. This did not feel like DLC to me. It didn't feel like a full-blown $70 like Spider-Man sequel, but it definitely did not feel like DLC. Maybe you could call it an expansion, but it even felt like it was more than that. It felt like it was right in between what you would expect from a standalone expansion and a full-blown AAA sequel. It felt like it was right in between there, and I really loved the game. It was incredible. Insomniac has been just doing a phenomenal job lately with what they've been delivering, and I hope to see them continue that. And so, yeah, I'm really happy to see that Spider-Man Miles Morales is doing so well. But we're going to move on from that and talk briefly about Resident Evil Village. There was another showcase that happened yesterday, and we learned a lot more about the game. And I want to talk to you guys about what's relevant here for PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 owners. So first of all, there's going to be another demo. Actually, there's going to be multiple demos. And so it says here that between May 1st and 2nd, you can spend 60 minutes in the village and castle when the demo launches on PS5, PS4, Xbox One, and Xbox Series systems, as well as Steam and Stadia. So between May 1st and 2nd, pretty much all platforms. But it says here PlayStation users will also get an early 30 minutes access to each area starting on April 17th. So on April 17th, you'll have access to the Village demo. That'll be available for a brief window of 8 hours. So you can spend, I guess if I'm reading this correctly, basically you have within that 8 hours to boot it up, play it, and spend 30 minutes before the demo's up. That is if I'm reading this correctly. It's a little bit weird the way they're doing it. Then on April 24th, PlayStation users get the Castle demo, for the same amount of time, 8 hours. There's an 8-hour window where you can go play it for 30 minutes. And so for these two specifically, this is for PS5 and PS4 owners only. But again, on May 1st and 2nd, that's when it's going to open up for everybody. So definitely going to try to take some time out to give that a try. But something else that's very interesting I want to bring up in regards to Resident Evil Village. If you guys recall, there was actually a rumor, maybe about a year ago at this point, maybe a little bit less than that. There was a rumor that apparently Capcom was really struggling with development on the PlayStation 5 version of Resident Evil Village. And I really pushed back against this hard because it was spreading a lot of negativity about the PS5 hardware before it had even launched, where people were starting to think, uh-oh, you know, we can expect games to pretty much run terribly on the PS5 now. And I said, guys, come on, like, this rumor sounds like it's just not true to me. You know, we're very far away from the release of Resident Evil. They probably need time to optimize. And so we did find out what exactly the PS5 version of Resident Evil 8 is going to run at. So on both the Xbox Series X and the PS5, without ray tracing, you can expect 4K 60 frames per second. So that sounds good to me. That's probably the mode I'm going to be playing on. But they also have a mode with ray tracing on both the PS5 and the Series X that will run at 4K at 45 frames per second, which is interesting. You don't normally see games that are running at 45 frames. I'm assuming that's going to be unlocked. And then they have the Xbox Series S without ray tracing, 1440p at 45 FPS, and then with ray tracing, 1440p at 30 FPS. And for those wondering, on the PlayStation 4 Pro, it's going to be 1080p 60 frames per second. And then when you have the resolution mode on, it'll be 4K HDR at 30 frames per second. And then on the base model PS4, you're looking at 900p 45 frames per second. So there you go. It seems like if you are playing this game on PS5 like I will be, it's going to run and look great. Who would have thought, right? But finally, I just want to end this video by letting everybody know that with the latest PlayStation 5 firmware update, it seems to have fixed an issue that a lot of people have been complaining about, and that is the fact that there is disc spinning that occurs on seemingly an hourly basis on the PS5 if you have a disc inserted into your PlayStation 5. It'll just randomly start spinning for a good like 30 seconds maybe. We don't know why, but apparently this has been dramatically reduced. I think it still happens, but it's like far and few in between. And I just wanted to mention this because, again, I saw so many people complaining about this. And this was something I didn't mention in my video because I didn't know about it when we covered the latest update. So there you go. That's everything I have for you guys today. I hope you did enjoy the video. I hope you did find it informative. If you did, make sure you leave it a like, leave your thoughts down in the comments below, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.